Hi guys, welcome to today's video and thank you for tuning in to my channel. So basically, I want to talk about, as you can see it in the description, whether you should become a photographer in this day and age in 2017 with technology. The amount of availability of cameras, phones, and the amount of social media has kind of influenced the whole spectrum of photography, and whether you should get into photography today. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about. Now, when it comes to photography is vast when it comes to the kinds of photography that you can do, the spheres, the aspects. It's just that there are so much of streamlines of photography that you can go into. So in general, should you leave studies? I was talking to a parent the other day and I was like, the parent asked me if should my student leave his regular job and get into photography because that's something he's really passionate about. But in my opinion, what I recommend and what I think is a good option for a student nowadays is, instead of actually leaving your regular studies, do photography along with your regular studies so you always have a fallback plan. It's just that I'm not saying that photography won't work out for you, but I'm just saying that it's always good to have like a fallback plan for something that you can do just in case photography does not work out for you. That's just my opinion and why I think that getting into photography is great, but having a fallback option is also good, just so that you have a backup option. Worst case scenario, photography doesn't work for you. However, nowadays social media has taken over photography, and should you adapt social media into your photography when it comes to Instagram, Flickr, Facebook, Snapchat, Insta stories, Facebook stories? Everybody has stories. There's so much of ways to showcase your photography, and should you actually capitalize on that? So it takes me back to a story where Kodak introduced the brownie, and that just made it so much more easier for photographers to get into photography. This was way back, and everybody thought that the brownie was a phase and they thought that it wouldn't work out. Eventually it worked out and it made it a lot more accessible. So people used to complain about that at one point. After that, what happened is digital kind of came in and digital photography took over, and Kodak thought that digital is just a passing fad and they did not adapt it. And what happened to Kodak later is Kodak just went bankrupt in the whole photography field and it didn't really work out. So adapting to technology, adapting to the path that photographers and media is taking forward, I think is a good way to kind of push your photography and capitalize on that. Do not push people into liking your work, do not push people into following your content, but kind of just let them know that you're out there and you're working with that. As a photographer, I think that it is good not to put your hands into everything, but just specialize on one thing that you feel more inclined to do. So if you want to be a wedding photographer, if you want to be a fashion photographer, if you want to be a commercial photographer, the kind of photography that you are interested in, I would recommend being really passionate about one kind of photography, polishing that and getting to the best of that, so that your entire, for example, your entire Instagram feed kind of has the same vibe to it. Because if you've got only travel and suddenly you post something related to food or to fashion, it might not go with your style of photography. So this kind of polishing to be the best at something will make you the best at something, and it won't make you like a jack of all trades and a master of none. But you can be a master of at least one. So that rhymed. Anyway, so you basically can do photography, you can explore that, but as a profession, it's always good to kind of capitalize and specialize on one particular kind of photography and one particular kind of aspect of photography that I think that you can look into. Now, when it comes to photography per se in today's world, there are so many photographers, there is so much of media, there's so much of content out there that it's difficult to pretty much get a name if you're just starting out. However, you've always got to wait for your big break, but until you actually hit that big break when it comes to being a photographer, you need to really go through the entire grind of it, go through the entire drill of just pushing all your content out there and showing people what you're capable of. And it's not only about the photography. Photography is one big part of it, but polishing the talent is another part of it. But as big as all of that is just marketing and getting your photography and your video production and the entire grind of it out there, so that people know what exactly you're shooting at and what exactly is something that makes you stand apart in the whole aspect. So just learning how to market yourself is something that really helps. I, for one, started off with a corporate job at one point. I started off with sales, where I used to use locally made produce and sell it online. So that's how I kind of started funding my photography passion. But what I learned through all of that is there's always something to learn from everybody. But when it comes to photography, you need to get great with marketing and selling and pretty much understanding the whole sales process and understanding why sales is a very big part of photography and why you need to polish photography through sales and through your entire marketing business drive, so that photography and entrepreneurship go hand in hand, so that you can sell your entire concept to your prospective client. Now, landing your first client might not be the easiest. So in my opinion, it's always good to basically look at the kind of clients you want to do and approach them, and at times you might have to just do it for free. Like whether it is a wedding, you can just intern with other photographers, you can intern with other agencies. If it is, whether it is fashion, you can just offer free or very minimal pictures to aspiring models, to models out there, so that they can use your work and give you credit for the work you've done. And that's how you kind of build your portfolio. Eventually you will land your first client. People will see the kind of work you do and what makes you stand apart and what makes you what makes your work show. Like if you are a travel photographer and you go to, for example, the Taj Mahal, it's very easy to get a picture straight up, but try and look at a place and look at it how you could make it a little different. It's always good to research other people's work, but when it comes to you as a photographer, it's always good to take your own twist to the photography and kind of make your work stand out over the others, and that will give you an edge of what makes you a better photographer, what makes you show your creative potential to the people out there, and the kind of market that you want to showcase your talent to. So if you're into wedding photography, my honest recommendation is just work with other photographers, work with other media artists, with other creatives, so that you know how a workflow works. That's what I did in my initial days. I shadowed a lot of photographers. I started my photography like 8 or 9 years back, but I just shadowed a lot of other photographers, understood how photography works, how the whole workflow pattern works, and how you pretty much can just learn from other people. It's not that you want to copy their work or you want to spoil their market, but it's just that you need to understand how to work with clients, how you need to work with shadowing patterns, and how you need to work with lighting and creative and transferring data and backing up, and the whole grind of sorting your equipment and logging your equipment and taking care of your cards. There's a lot that you need to do, and as long as you go through that whole grind of probably not earning anything, interning with other photographers, being the second photographer, it'll always help you be what you need to do out there and how you need to get into photography, so that you can basically understand how the whole industry of photography and video production work. So polishing one kind of photography, polishing something that you're inclined to do, is something that will always help you per se. And that is pretty much a couple of tips. So if you really want to get into photography, I honestly think that you need to really start right now. 2017 is great. We all have great phones, we've got cameras, we've got so much of equipment out there. The availability of equipment is so easy nowadays that getting into photography is not the most difficult, because the most basic camera that you can buy on the market right now is probably better than any camera that was available 25 years back, which produced some of the great iconic work pictures that we look at National Geographic and big brands and companies out there. So complaining about equipment is not something you should do, and not something that you should really complain about, because you need to use the equipment that you have. Photography, the cameras are just a tool, but you need to take that and kind of use it to the most potential out of it. Like even if you Google pictures of the most basic camera out there and you take the, say for example, the Canon 1200D, and you search for sample images, and you're going to get some great pictures. And if your pictures on that basic equipment is not as good as that, you know that you still have potential to work, and you still have potential to learn something new and learn something to bring your talent up to that. And it's just that you need to polish your talent and stop complaining about equipment, but just get into photography if you need to. And the biggest thing is, the one important point that I would like to make through this video is one secret in photography that you need to do to be successful. The one secret to be successful as a photographer, as a media artist, as a creative, as a video professional, as a video production person, is you need, along with photography, is you need to learn marketing and sales. You need to learn to market yourself, you need to learn to sell yourself, you need to learn how to pitch to a client and what the client wants, and how you can fit into that whole creative aspect of getting your work out there and getting your talent to be visible. So just learn as much as you can on the whole business perspective, entrepreneur perspective, and learning sales, because every business nowadays comes down to sales. See, every business comes down to sales. Whether you're a teacher, you're a photographer, you're into insurance, you're into cars, you're into used trading, basically every business comes down to sales. And as a photographer, it is vitally important to know how to sell your photography, how to know how to sell your videos, how you need to tell your client why your videos are standing out and why they need to look at you and understand that the work that you're doing is something different and why people need to look at you. So just work on YouTube, listen to photographers, listen to entrepreneurs who are out there. Just understand why sales is as important, and that is the biggest thing that you need to learn. You need to learn how to sell, and you need to get your product out there. You need to pitch to a client even when the client does not want you, such that the client knows that this is a need more than a want, and they need to have you for their wedding. They need to have you to photograph their fashion portfolio, their product. And learning about sales and learning about marketing yourself is something that you need to learn as a photographer, as a media artist, as a creative out there. And that is the biggest point that I want to talk about. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Thank you for all the love and support. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to like, and I'll see you guys in the next video. And the biggest key that you're going to take off from this video is learn marketing and sales in whatever aspect of media or creative that you are in. And sales is the biggest thing, and you need to get through that. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye-bye.